Kelly and Morgan. We are here to do cookies in Christ. I actually do have a cookie. Do you have a cookie?
No.
I'm disappointed at the cookie I have.
I was
Yeah,
like, is that a Newton?
it's a vanilla.
It's a
Oh,
nut
it's
butter.
it's the Vienna finger. That's what it says. My kids like it. It has it's like an Oreo, like a vanilla Oreo, but it's not as sweet. But I at least have something. I was tired of not having cookies. I actually do have chocolate chip cookies. You know what? I'm gonna tell y'all this. When y'all leave, me and Morgan really do have chocolate chip cookies. We just usually eat them like after y'all gone. I don't know why.
And it's normally just Morgan.
No, but this time I really do have a cookie. Marie, can you stop picking my cookie, please? I do. I have like a whole pack, but they haven't been baked yet. Not prepared. But today, Morgan is leading. We have Genesis 24. So we are, I'm on a whole nother page. Isaac and Rebecca. So we're talking about a wife for Isaac.
All
So
right, people. So first, Kelly didn't even say Happy New Year to y'all, or how was y'all New Year's Eve, and how
you
did
couldn't just
everything.
start and say that stuff instead of saying Kelly didn't even. You could have just went in and had my back. Y'all
I
see that?
mean, as the intro, you were supposed to intro. So now I'm asking y'all. Feel free to write that in the chat. But anyway, we about to go ahead and wrap up the story of Abraham because I feel like we've been talking about him for months, which we have because we only do this once a month. But anywho, all right. So, Abraham's getting up here. So if you don't remember, Sarah has passed now. That was Abraham's boo boo. His ride or die. She's passed. He went ahead and buried her. And I mean, he's pretty old. He was already old.
So,
Uh, but he asked one of his servants to go back home because he want his son to marry a round-the-way girl. So he sent her back home. None of these new jonks for his son. All right. So he's like, hey, I need you to go back to my hometown and find a wife for my son Isaac. But it wasn't just like a regular conversation. He asked basically, he made the servant promise him to go and find a suitable wife for his son. And, that's a big thing. And I want to get into how the oath was. So, because this is not the only time we'll see this in the Bible, but in this stance, the oath or the promise, how we do pinky promises or swear, he had to put his hand under the thigh. That's the way that the text read. And so I found this fascinating. So I dug a little deeper, just trying to figure out, well, what's the significance of the hand under the thigh? And as you dig more into it, it says hand under the thigh, but they just trying to, whitewash it for y'all. It's a significance of hand close to or on the genital area is how it's translated. And it's basically you take those type of oaths when you are promising something that reflects the clan or the genealogy of the patriarch. You have to take that type of oath because if you mess this up, you messing up the bloodline. So that's a lot of weight to carry. And then when you think about it, having another man like on my buddies, you gotta promise this. Like nobody want to just be taking that type of oath
like,
loosely. So that was like a serious promise. All right. Anyway, servant goes, takes his trek, ends up there. So, he's like, all right, giving himself a pep talk. And he's trying to figure out how will I know which girl is the right girl? So the first thing he does is he's like, all right, God, let's come up with a game plan. How are we going to pick the right one? And so they basically come to the conclusion. He consulted God and said that when a woman comes, I'm going to ask for something to drink. Again, he's a stranger. So, stranger danger. People just don't be handing out favors to strangers. But he said, hey, if I meet a young lady and I ask her, can I have something to drink? And she lets me drink. And then also goes above and beyond that to offer drink to my camels, then I know she's the one. So that's what they decided. Boom, here comes Rebecca. First woman he crosses. He says, hey, I'm a little parched. She says, say less. Have some. Then before he even, wet his whistle, she was like, and matter of fact, your camels, they look a little parched too. So let me scurry on, get them some water. And so when you're reading the text, it's not like she's like, oh, let me go back to the kitchen and get another cup. She had to trek this heavy, I'll say like a bowl or basket full of water back and forth. So it was really her serving spirit that signified, okay, this is the woman that Isaac is supposed to marry. Yes, Isaac. So boom. The servant is just so happy because first got it right on the first try. I didn't even have to be here all day. Won't he do it? So it's like, oh, you're so nice. And you know what he does? He gives her a bracelet and a nose ring. Bling bling. And she's like, so who's your family? Who your folks? And you think they can put us up for the night? And she's like, yeah, ain't no problem. So she go talk to her brother, and her brother, he see her coming. He's like, oh, where you get this jewelry from? Like, you went to go get water, came back with a nose ring and some bracelets. Like, what is happening? So he, your servant introduces himself and basically like, yo, before we even go any further, let me tell you the story. So he proceeds to tell the story about how he was sent there from Abraham, and this was his mission, and this is how he knew that she was the one. And basically, all he's here for is to collect the wife. And when he see all the jewelry and stuff that his sister got, he like, oh yeah, come stay with us. I didn't really care for that too much. It was like he was trying to get a little something. But whatever, it ain't about him. As you read the text, Rebecca is actually Abraham's great niece. I believe that's what it said. The brother Nahor, is that his name? Let me look.
Nahor.
Yeah. So it's his great niece. Yeah. She was the daughter of Bethuel, who was the son of Abraham's brother Nahor and his wife Milcah. So yes, Milcah.
Yeah.
So they were familiar with Abraham, and so they did all that. And so they stayed the night, just one night, but he was basically like, yo, I'm not trying to be here for a while. Like, we gotta go. Can you please send me back so we can just get this thing on? And I'm assuming that the servant knew that this was like an urgent action because again, Abraham was he's probably like inching close. He didn't know how long it was going to take him. So he just was very urgent to get back to let Abraham know, hey, I fulfilled my task. And, because that's what a servant does. And I think that's awesome. And the family was like, can we get like a few days where like you just rode up? We weren't even ready to say goodbye. Rightfully so. But he was like, nah. So then he's like, well, let's ask Rebecca, which I thought was nice that they gave her a say, because clearly, as we have seen throughout the book, we're still in Genesis, but up until this part, women don't have much say in a lot here. But I thought it was very nice that they asked Rebecca, hey, do you want to go? And she was like, peace. You see, she was just like, I think she understood, and maybe even it doesn't really talk about it, but I feel like
maybe she felt like in her bones this was right.
Yeah, she felt like in her spirit, or maybe even an angel had come to her and told her this was going to happen, because she was old enough to be married and she was still a virgin, but for some reason she wasn't yet. So maybe, we don't know, but I would like to think that she had this feeling, or she knew this is what she was supposed to do. So she didn't stay. She said her goodbyes to her family, and they went on back. He did leave the family with the equivalent of like a dowry. So, Abraham was very, very wealthy. So he dropped them off a couple of gold doubloons. Well, not doubloons, that's pirate speak, but yeah. Anywho, so they make their trek back, and Isaac kind of sees them from afar, and the servant gets off the camel and says, this is your wife or whatever. And once Rebecca knows that this is her soon-to-be husband, she does what is considered to be like a traditional greeting, in which she gets off of the camel to show a sign of respect, and she also puts up her veil to cover herself, which is something kind of cool. Like, you can see like the whole unveiling thing, like that tradition of a bride having to be veiled or unveiled to their husband. So anyway, Isaac ain't mad at what the servant did. He was like, yo, good look, dapped him up. And they went into Sarah's tent cove and became man and wife. Bada bing, bada boom. So that was how Isaac got his lady. And, you know, I think that this servant deserved to be, you know, promoted because he did such a great job. And then we fast forward some more. So Abraham, he does eventually be married. He remarries someone named Keturah, and they have quite a few more kids. However, when Abraham dies at the ripe old age of 175, he left everything to Isaac. He did gift his other sons with, you know, some things, but he sent them away. They weren't allowed to stay in his promised land. He left everything that God promised him to Isaac. And I thought for a minute. And then Isaac and Ishmael, if you guys remember Ishmael was the love child of Abraham and Hagar. And that was like a whole thing. But Ishmael actually came back to help Isaac bury Abraham, which I thought was very, very respectable, even though he didn't get the land and the lineage and everything. So that, I mean, it goes on to talk about like the different descendants of Ishmael. If you want to, there are like 12. I think there are 12 clans. Were there 12? Here's a list by their names. He said these 12 sons of Ishmael became the founders of the 12 tribes. So yes, there were 12 tribes and they came from Ishmael. But boom. So in this section, so that's basically the end of Abraham. He dies, leaves everything to Isaac, just as it was always meant to be, with just a few extra kids that we don't know if they were supposed to be. So short and sweet. It's going to be a quick night for y'all, unless Kelly has lots of different commentary. But in going back, some of the takeaways that I got from this section is beyond the whole oath thing. But I love that when the servant, he didn't know what to do. He had this mission or this, you know, assignment to do. And he didn't know how he was ever going to make it happen or how he was going to know it was the right decision. And the first thing he did was talk to God. Hello, can I get a hot tub? You know what I'm saying? So I thought that was just like very, very inspirational, and that's definitely a cookie crumb you guys want to take if you are feeling like you've been assigned to do something and you're just not sure what's the right steps, or you don't feel like you can trust yourself. Have a conversation with God and know that conversation will lead you to the right choice or answer or move.
I think from that, I like that he was an extension of who he works for. So sometimes in business, and when you're looking for help, you're like, I just need help. I'm gonna take anybody. But when you have somebody and you're aligned and y'all have the same vision or y'all have the same belief, you get a better result. It's like having a receptionist at the desk and you own a hair salon and she don't like hair. So she's not gonna do the best job. It's like, I don't care what my hair look like. I don't care what your hair look like. what kind of hair you want? Okay, it's whatever. Get the horse hair, whatever the case may be. And she's not going to do the best job. I think that what I like from the servant's point of view is that he aligned with the same belief as his master. And I think that plays a part. And I don't know if like these people are chosen to be a servant. You sign up. I mean, I don't know how this person particularly became in that position. But I thought that was a good point, especially if you're in business, like for yourself. When you go to hire somebody, you should try to hire somebody that has you're on the same link, the same wave. Because I think that played a big part. Like the fact that he didn't have to waste a whole bunch of time. That's a big thing.
I definitely agree with that. But if you remember, like way back when God told Abraham he had to circumcise everybody in his tribe. So I feel like if you are down to let somebody circumcise you, you have fully converted to aligning with whatever they have said. And I do think it's not weird because you can tell that like even in the text it said your servants and like everybody from the littlest baby to the grownest of man had to do it. So we don't know which servant this was of his age. I'm assuming he was old enough to know directions and work a camel and everything, how old he was. But let's estimate he been working for, I'm assuming Abraham seemed like a ride or die. He probably kept the same servants for a while. I would assume. I don't think he rotating them out like who was that lady who get a new servant every week? Emily Gilmore off of Gilmore Girls, if y'all watch y'all. But yeah, I definitely think that when you are in support of, your leader, it makes things a lot easier to just do it.
And he trusted him. Like, that was a big task. Like, for Abraham to trust his servant with that. I mean, he didn't have to like threaten him, like, you better.
I mean, he basically did. He said, he said, put your hands here. That's a threat.
I don't think that's a threat. It's like, this is a cold promise. He didn't say, oh, it's your head.
No, he did say if you go there, it's in the text. It says if you go and you feel like there's no one there, then you are free from this promise. Because I think back in that time, that's like a heavy thing.
Like, I need any woman, give me any girl. I just need anybody because I'm not trying to die over this.
I can't go back home without a woman.
Is your cow girl? Is your cow girl? I think her. Is Betsy a girl? But I think that's not. And I really feel like if he had not met Rebecca first, he still would have found quality. And like I'm trying to tell you, like, I've had many businesses, and to find good help is really, really hard. And to have somebody that cares a lot about the tasks that they have, just at our regular jobs, like if you are not working somewhere where you believe in the vision of that organization, then you're not putting your best into that. And it's just not right, and it's not good. Like, you need to find somewhere where you can connect and you believe in what they're doing, and then you will work better and work greater at what the mission is. We do a disservice to that business and to ourselves if we work somewhere and we're not down for the cause. If you're not down for the cause, then you need to find somewhere else to be. So I feel like it was on both men's part. And Isaac kind of benefited greatly. She was a nice woman. Rebecca was nice for this part. I think she started stripping a little bit later on in the text. She was good right here.
How did you feel about, like, even though we know why, or I understand why theoretically, how do you feel about Abraham leaving everything to Isaac, even though he had mad kids?
So I am a mother of multiples. I call that a mom. And I've seen, like, my grandparents leave stuff to their children, or other friends, grandparents leave something to them. And I've seen a situation where it skips the oldest and goes to whoever's the most responsible. So I can say that I think that's a lot of pressure on the person that does receive. But if this is something that was kind of like, this is ordained by God, this is going to happen, then I would just make sure I communicate that with everybody, like, let it be known. So it's not just because I love this person more, or they're greater, or this, that, and other. This is the way it was supposed to be. And I honestly feel like, just like in our families, when something is left to one child, it would be nice if they themselves are responsible and then divvy it up. If mom left me the house and I decide to sell the house, and it's $100,000, I don't know where this house at, but let's just keep it simple. It's $100,000, and I have one sibling, I would give my sibling at least 20. Like,
all right, but no, she gave birth to 6 kids. She gave birth to 6 kids plus Ishmael, so that's 7. And I guess the thing in the text, it says Abraham gave everything he owned to his son Isaac, but before he died, he gave gifts to the sons of his concubines and sent them off to a land away from Isaac. Like, don't bother my boy. Like,
I mean, sometimes it depends. In society, you may know your role. It's like, okay, so let's take this situation. So man and wife are married. They have 3 children. Wife cheats on husband and has this other child. The father of those other children may feel like, I'm not really giving anything to that other child because they're not mine. However, these are his children, as far as like Abraham, but because they are the children of concubines and not his wife, maybe they're not of, I don't want to say value. It's a human being, but they're not on the level of what his son is with his wife.
No, he married Keturah. I can see him saying that about Hagar and Ishmael because that was some wild.
And God took care of them. So it's like God got them.
Wow. But he remarried, whatever that looked like back then.
But he loved it, did
he? He gave her up to many a pharaoh.
No. And that was out of fear. That's why you don't act out of fear. He was a scared man. But I mean, all in all, I feel like it's okay given the circumstance that they have. I mean, his life is a little messy. Okay. But I mean, are you saying that you would feel some kind of way as the person that got everything, or would you feel some kind of way about the person that got the bowl?
As the person who got everything, I probably would feel a little like in this society, I feel like I would feel a lot of pressure. Because favoritism is a thing, clearly. But in that situation, I don't know. As if I was one of the other kids, I mean, it doesn't really say what the gifts are that he gave them, but if it was enough to like give them good lives, I guess it's standard. I really don't know.
Sometimes that's still people. It doesn't matter.
If I was Isaac, just because, and I'm pretty sure that Abraham has told him the story about how your mother laughed at this angel when she said she was going to have you, and just about all the promises that God had made to him and different things. So if I'm Isaac and I got all this land and my brothers rolled up on me like, yo, you need to split the land and the riches, and I'd be like, I would, but I don't think that's what God really wanted. And I don't want to go against him. So I can't. But here's this lovely camel.
No. I mean, I like how okay, so if it was true that you're leaning on God's word, cool. What you're not going to do is use God as like this crutch, like I would, but Jesus has said.
I mean, what other reason? The only reason that I gave Abraham a pass is because I looked at Isaac as being the one true heir that God promised. Yeah, that God promised him, or him and Sarah in the kitchen or wherever they were when she was making yogurt out of what refrigerator or milk. I don't know. Yeah. So these other kids, I mean, if things had been, black and white, Ishmael never existed, and let's just say, boom, it was like the Notebook, Sarah and Abraham died at the same time, it would only be Isaac. So yes, he can get it all, and this is who was supposed to be the heir through which all the many descendants were supposed to happen, and everything else, oh, Abraham, you just wild boy. So that's how I kind of interpreted it to myself to make me feel like they didn't get slighted, even though I know they really didn't get slighted because he gave them something, hopefully something worthwhile to get them at least a solid leg up wherever they went, whatever land he ushered them to. So yeah, that was my takeaway from that. And I also, lastly, my only other pull away from this was that I thought it was very, very respectable that Ishmael came back and showed up to bury Abraham after everything that had transpired, and especially when he had all these other kids, and it doesn't speak to them coming back to bury him. It speaks to those two specifically. So, yeah.
I was gonna say, do you think that Ishmael remembered the whole "y'all need to go"
type of situation? I'm sure he did.
So I was.
If he didn't, I'm sure Hagar reminded.
So that's what I was gonna say. I'm wondering because I have a problem. I'm not in this situation, but I know of situations where mom and dad don't work out, and the mom might bash dad and say he's not this, he's like this, he kicked us out, and this, that, and the other. And for him to show up and help in that way for his father's burial, I would either say he was a strong man who let stuff go, or his mom didn't do that and say, hey, your father was a nobody and he was mean and he kicked us out, he didn't love you, and I was used, and all this, that, and the other. I think that is really a disservice to a child when a parent does that, whether it be the father that has the child and they kind of discredit the mom. I mean, the truth is the truth. If your parent, disowns you, then okay. But what you don't have to do is like, make their name mud. Other than the fact that if that's how they are, they're going to do that themselves. But for me, I think like letting it go, and if that's the way it is, then the situation will show. Versus you keep downgrading and discrediting the other spouse. So I don't know how that situation went. I think that Abraham did do Hagar a little wrong by kicking her out, but I mean, I'm glad that God was able to, well, not able to, but God did say that he was going to take care of Ishmael and Hagar, and they were going to be fine. So I think I think it speaks highly of Ishmael to come back and be with his dad, well, help his brothers.
And then I also wonder if, after Sarah passed, if they did reconnect, or maybe Isaac reached out and was like, oh, remember my big brother, or something like that. Because later on in the text, it does say that Ishmael's descendants occupied whatever region, and all of his descendants had issues with the relatives, with the rest of the brothers and the descendants of the brothers. So maybe that's like a generational thing, like, oh, we don't mess with them tribes because of daddy's favor, or whatever it is. You know how things go along. But I also feel like that maybe Ishmael, so I'm torn on how Ishmael's, disposition was, because he did come back to help bury him, which he didn't really have to do because yes, he got kicked out. And I go back to when he was crying and the angel heard his cry, not necessarily Hagar's cry. To me, that means that, there is something there. He has some type of form of connection. Mm-hmm. But if his descendants are now have all this animosity towards all the relatives, maybe he wasn't that, connected, and maybe it's something else. I don't really know. I'm torn on that. So I did have in my notes, I always wonder how their relationship, moved on. Because, sometimes as a dad, or when the kids are younger, you do different things, and as they get older, you have talks with them. You're more transparent about like your shortcomings as a man or a woman, and things that you wish you could have done differently. And maybe Abraham explained, like, I didn't want to kick you out. It was a tense situation. And heck, at this time, Ishmael might have had his own baby mama drama and definitely understood, like, yo, I understand, Pops. And then he was like, maybe he might have told him, like, I didn't feel like I needed to do as much because God told me for a fact that he would take care of you. And maybe that was some type of solace or comfort. I have no idea. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the whole Ishmael thing.
I think we have really good points. I mean, and I think it was a lot to pour out, because I never looked at, like, I read the story, but it's like, okay, that happened. So I like that we dive a little deeper into there and kind of help people relate to it, because I think this could really be somebody's situation. I had this wife and this wasn't happening, and then this happened over there, and then like that's a real situation that's still happening today. So to see how someone that was a great man or did great things and had God's heart, how they handled it, it's nice to read, because some people be like, oh, I can't relate. Some people can relate. So I think that, giving it a chance, like, maybe you should read between what you just see on the outside, like this situation is real. I loved reading this section of the Bible, God's chosen family. I thought I was like, wow, all of this is happening to this family. This family got problems. So I thought it was real relatable. Another part that, I mean, I had a couple points I did. This is not really big, but so there is a big part to Rebecca that I wanted to talk about. Well, one part that's just sticking out to me, because I just keep looking at it, is that she quickly dismounted from her camel to get to her king. And it seems like she was like really excited. And sometimes when you watch movies or read stories from a time like this, the woman, like you said, doesn't have a lot to say. She does not know this man. She doesn't know what's going on, but she seems really excited. And sometimes I feel like we lose that excitement in life because we want to plan everything and we want to know how everything's going to go. And I mean, even when we get what we plan for, we're like, okay, on to the next thing. And you didn't even take the time to really enjoy the situation. So I like that she was like really excited. It sounds like a movie that she just, hopped off the camel and ran to him and they all got married. I'm not comfortable with the
went into his mama's room.
yeah. Not comfortable with that part, but maybe that was the only tent left.
What I'm thinking is that, because back in this time, I believe that similar to like how our grandparents slept in twin beds in the same room, or great grands, whatever. I think that women, or especially in, as I recall, in like royal times or different things of when you are of a certain status, women have their own quarters and the men come to them when it's time to do, and then they go on and do whatever they got to do. And they sleep separately. So I believe that's probably like the only, as he was becoming the head of the household, that was probably the only open women's quarters. It wasn't like, oh, I've always dreamed of doing something on my mom's sheepskin. Like, I doubt that was Isaac's thought process.
It just, when I read it, I was just like,
why there?
Like, ain't no other tent. But maybe it was a beautiful tent. It was the most, maybe it was the place to be. And he wanted to give his wife, the best. I'm sure Sarah had the best.
Yeah,
so,
and it probably was.
Maybe it was weird.
I don't think it was disrespectful. I think it wasn't respectful. No. Or maybe even honored. Like, look, Mom, I know you wanted this for me. Type situation. But when you went back to Rebecca, I did want to say to y'all that she didn't just say yes because she thought she was on the blow up. Because Rebecca apparently had her own servants and she bought them with her.
Yeah, she bought them.
Yeah.
So she was already, and I thought about that too. And I was like, man, I'm still not clear on the whole, did you sign up for this job or did you do something and this is what you have to do in order to pay back, something that your father did, or we took a loan out, so you got to keep my kids for 10 days or whatever the case may be.
I think it's
but
more like
they uprooted these women and like it just said servant girls. So were they on camels too? They walking?
Yeah. It said Rebecca and her servant girls mounted the camels and followed the man. So the servant came with multiples to take them out.
Okay.
But so I would think that maybe it's like a job. So if you're not a shepherd or what was the other thing between the sons? Either a shepherd or a farmer. If you ain't one of those two and you don't have riches, then you have to work to support, I'm assuming, your family. And so then you become a servant or a servant girl.
Mm.
And if you're not married, when your mistress go, you follow her.
Okay. Well, that was one of my points, was that. But then the point about Rebecca that I did like was her service, like her attitude toward, like, she didn't know that this situation was going to lead into all of this. And I say that because neither do we. Like, how do you treat people when you meet them? When you work at Target and somebody comes in your line, are you nice to them, not knowing who they are? Or are you only nice to the people because they look like the people that you should be nice to? So I thought that was really nice of her to like really treat him like upstanding. Now let me talk about me. So because so
you wouldn't have got yours.
I'd have been nice. I would have been nice, but she was like overly, like the whole feeding the camels and all that. Now, if it was a puppy, I could have got down with the puppy. I ain't eating a camel. But Pastor Battle had talked about how he isn't really fond of having like company, like people in his home. And I'm like that. Like, I would rather go out. Like, I'd rather go to your house type of thing. And it's because of many different things, just many different things about my personality, about my home, about just people. So there are reasons why I would rather just go out than to have a whole bunch of people. But my husband is the opposite. Like, everybody come over here. Well, not now. Nobody. But everybody come over here, and he's very hospitable. He's in the hospitality and he's great. And so the pastor was like, you have to get out of that. Like he had to get out of that. And so he was talking to us saying that you need to be like, he was reading the Bible. It's like, you need to be really inviting and really warm and welcoming to people so that, you know, you set this mood and stuff. Like you shouldn't be so standoffish. And I know, don't come in my house and this, that, and other type of thing. So I'm thinking that, yes, I'm a nice person, but would I have went to that extent of let me do this? Like when people come to our house, Maurice is on a different level of helping. Like he's like, yeah, like a king just came to the house. This be regular friend. And he's like getting fresh soap. I'm like, why can't they use the soap? You like opened up a whole new dove. And it's like really, really nice. And I learned that from him. That's not something that just came with me. It's like I learned that that's how you really supposed to treat a guest, and making like fresh, like he go out and get the fresh fruit and the best so they can have a good experience. And I'm not saying that I care less about it. It's just that that wasn't something that I was taught to do. And that was like in him. And I think that that's nice that that was like in her. Like, I'm going to give you the water. I'm going to get the water for your camel. I'm going to be nice. Do you need anything else? And she don't know this man. But I like that that also played into how her story started, like with her husband. And you never know. A lot of people running around, I want a husband, I want this, that. What if you met him already, but you just wasn't nicer? Like, what if you were, when the guy said, hey, do you have the time? Yeah, I got the time. And what else do you want? Like, I ain't giving you nothing else. Like, or are you asking me because you asking me for something else? Like, if you were nice, do you think like maybe that could have been the guy just because it didn't come packaged the way that you thought? Like, he didn't want to be with her. She wasn't nice because she thought, oh, I want his attention. Like, she was just nice to him because he was a person. I thought that was nice.
Yes, but also I would say from my own personal experience, I'm only going to be stand up in guys approaching me. I'm only as respectful as your approach. So you're not going to get, you know, pleasantries if you like, yo ma, what?
Well, no, we're not talking about cat calling and whatever.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, he was respectful and he probably approached her in a way. I think that in general, I mean, there are some people who just really have really bad stankness around them. But in general, I believe that your spirit guides ping something off in you to know friend or foe. Like, you can,
you got intuition. You do have, you know, who should you be more open to? Like, nice is different than open. Like, if somebody came to me and started talking and, you know, they sound like they really want to know me, I'm not going to give you all my information. Yeah, I live here and I live there and da, 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 da. But something about certain people does make you want to open up and talk to them a lot more. So, I mean, yeah, she could have felt like, oh, I feel comfortable talking and being nice to you. And you do have to be safe. Like, you don't want to, because sometimes nice means weakness to some people. And I don't know. I mean, why was she alone? Not that women can't be alone, but he could have been a bad.
That was their job. The women were sent to gather water, so he knew that that's where.
So I'm hoping that, yeah. So, but I'm hoping that it was safe. Well, I guess it was safe. She just knew it was safe because she was there. So, but hold on, let me see. So I tried to share that. Aisha said there's a great point. The same can be said about how we treat people in the streets. And that's what you just started talking about with the friend or foe. But then she also said hospitality is something that she wants to learn more about as well. I think that we all, I mean, it's not just about, you know, people coming to your house. It's everywhere that you go. Hospitality can be something that we, you know, pick up on and do better at. I think a lot of people, I know I'm with you, Aisha. I need to do better at that as well.
I will say this. In general, I don't love people in my space. And if I do welcome them in my space, it's for a limited amount of time. Like, I hate for people to like overextend, only because my home is like my safe haven and everything. But when I do open up to allow people in my space, I feel like I am probably a very, very gracious host as well as a gracious guest. Like, for example, you know, when you're going to somebody's house unannounced, like, I've always been taught you don't show up at people's house
Yeah,
Yeah, like you don't do that. Or like if somebody, let's just say, so Christmas just passed pre-COVID, somebody called you last minute and was like, oh, will you come over? But you wasn't planning on coming over. But even still, I'm not going to show up to your house empty-handed. It's a holiday. Like, yeah, you late invited me, but I'm still try to scrounge together something because I'm not showing up to your house on a holiday empty-handed. If people come to my home and I'm hosting some type of event, I want to make sure that people are comfortable and like, oh, are you allergic to anything? Do you need anything? You need extra cushions? Whatever the case is. So I can turn it on and turn it off. Me as a person, I'm an introvert and I don't like people in my space all the time. But if I am in, I guess, a hosting mood or in a open mood, I definitely am like a air quote server, I suppose. But once you have hit that time limit of, all right, people time is over, I'm like, Marty Ma, get this step in.
I had to keep people out of my house before with grace though. I was kind of nice, like when y'all leaving.
Now, I feel like what's the ultimate like slick passive aggressive way of saying, so I'm about to go to bed, you need to leave? I feel like it could even be like taking your bra off.
No, go put on pajamas. I go put on pajamas.
That's what I'm saying. You gotta put on your bonnet or like unsnap your bra or something. Put on your
I don't want to make people uncomfortable. I mean, so I put on pajamas and because it be Maurice's friends. I put on pajamas and I go downstairs and I'm like, whoo. Just hit a whole bunch of whoop. And after about the third hoof, you either get kicked out the basement and you just got a deal. Or your friend or the friends be like, oh, so it's that time.
So one of my friends, like her house is kind of like the hub house, and I'm thankful that it's her house and not mine. But she always complains because her husband loves to host people. So literally every single weekend or pre-COVID, all of their male friends would gather in their home, just show up. Like it would be a Monday night. And she, you know, be like, yo, they always here.
And they smell good. Y'all smell that? Smell-o-vision.
And she's like, they're always here, but they don't even care. They be like, oh, she upstairs, sleep. And they be downstairs just having a good old time.
No. Oh, that's not right.
They don't. I mean, but it's not without her husband, you know, like welcoming. Like that's he wants people. He likes people having. He likes hosting and like doing stuff like that. And so it's for her. She kind of just has to acclimate a little bit and be like, all right, that's his thing. He enjoys spending time with his friends, but I'm not going to let that stop me from going to bed. They do whatever they want to do. I'm out. You know, like she doesn't feel compelled to stay down there and entertain. So if they bring their significant others with them, you won't be hosted by the woman. So,
well, I mean that's just what it is. I don't debate them. She's the introvert also and has a hard time having people in her space. And I also wanted to say hi to Shayla. Shayla said, hey, like 20 minutes ago.
I can't see anything, guys.
Oh, yeah, I try to put them on the thing. I showed you can see that though, right? You on the iPad?
Oh, my phone.
Oh, phone. Okay. Oh, it worked. So she was just saying that she has a hard time having people in her space too. Us introverts, we have to do better. Although I feel like introverts are living their best life in the quarantine. And like we all right. Okay, I have one last point. I have this note that I wrote in my Bible. When I read my Bible, like after I've already wrote in it and wrote my notes and everything like that, because this is my study Bible, so I don't write in it like my journal, because the margin is like that big on the side. But I did write short and sweet on page 49. So it says, so today when I came to the spring, I prayed this prayer. Oh Lord, God of my master Abraham, please give me success on this mission. That is all. Like I loved it because I felt like he got straight to the point. My note says short and sweet. And I think I'm not saying that God is sitting there like with a wrap it up box, but I think that we can definitely say short prayers and they mean just as much. I don't think that you prolonging them, especially if it's for show in front of other people, that's definitely a no-no. But it doesn't have to be this poem like David's Psalms type situation, for you to get your point across to God. I like that he got straight to the point, and I think that we can pray more often. Sometimes we feel like our prayers have to be this big thing, or they have to be about something huge and major. You can pray about anything, like anything. The Bible says so. You can pray about anything, like, Lord, please don't let it be raining, and mean it. Like, don't say it just to, have fun. Like, it's just something you say. Like, really talk to the God, talk to God about it. Like, God, please don't let it be raining when I get outside, because I just got my hair done. I work hard for this money, and it cost me $85 to get my hair straightened. That's just, please don't let it be raining. If that really is your prayer, I think that's fine. But I love that was short and sweet, and he meant it. Like, please give me success on this mission. I have something that I was tasked to do. I really want to do a great job. Please let me do a great job. The same thing when you go in there and you got to do a brief or interview. God, please let me have a great interview. You do not have to sit there, fall on knees, and say a whole bunch about how he has blessed you since college and how you feel like this is meant to be in this. Now you can. I'm not saying don't do glamorous, give God all types of glory in the prayer. But I think straight to the point is cool too. I'm about to eat this cookie. I'm sorry. And
we're doing super short prayers. I did one yesterday when I had to take my computer back to the store. But before I left the house, it had fell off the couch and landed face down. So I was just like, God, don't let the screen crack. That was it. That's literally, I was like, God, don't let the screen crack. It wasn't cracked.
You knew that was a meaningful prayer. Like, God, from my heart.
He knew I meant that. Like, it was just.
I forgot what I prayed. I prayed something. It was like, it was on some Jesus wept. It was really short, and I meant all of those 2 words. Oh, I said, do something, Lord. I didn't know what to even ask. That's how short that prayer was. I just knew that something needs to happen. And I don't know, because I can't do whatever needs to be done. I can't do it. And that prayer was, do something, Lord. That's it. That's all I could get out. That's all I had in mind. I was like, I'm about to pray this to God because I really need him. And I need stuff to happen. In my head, all of that was going on. And all that came out my mouth was, do something, Lord. And it was quivering too. I think I cried in my voice. I was like, please do something, Lord. That was it. So that's all. I just wanted to say on 49. What is that? 42. Oh, goodness. So 24, 42. Mm-hmm. That servant was like, let me talk to the Lord real quick. Do something, Lord.
So yeah, guys, we have reached the end of Abraham. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Was it interesting? Just overall, like, as I look back on Abraham, because I did write that, I know as we went through these chapters, I originally was questioning Abram's faith. He wasn't Abraham then. Because I was just like, how big is it really? Or how he be wishy-washy? But I will say that every time God asked something of him, he did it. No questions asked. At first, he was like, leave your whole family and go here. And he did it. Then he was like, that son I've been promising you for years that you finally got, kill him. And he was about to do it. Like, he did it. And never once was Abram and or Abraham, however you like to refer to him, like, really? Or nah? Are you sure? Or you doing too much? So I feel like from that, I think we can all learn a lot from him, in the sense that sometimes God doesn't explain everything full out. Originally, he just tells you what it's going to be. And it's up to us to stay true and committed and have enough faith in God to, even when different obstacles pop up in our journeys, that we still stay the course, Mm-hmm. And even to the point where we can be leaders and lead other people to God. Abraham had a whole squad that he circumcised and had them to the point that his servant knew, hey, I don't know what to do. Let me go holler at God to make sure that I get my mission correct. And I just feel like that is the powerfulness of Abraham and his lineage, is that he wasn't perfect. He still messed up. Obstacles still happen. There's never a time in the Bible where it's like, believe in God and your life is perfect. It ain't gonna happen. So we take these examples and these stories.
Oh, you just crushed all these Christian dreams.
Oh, I'm sorry, but in 2021,
no, somebody need to tell people that is such a misunderstanding, and I don't know why some people keep preaching that. Like you just gonna get saved and everything is gonna be like gravy. When sometimes the exact opposite happens. Like if that was the purpose, like you just get saved, then you would just be saved and just life would be, that was it. Like you would just go to heaven right after that. You definitely have a purpose, and it doesn't mean that it's going to be easy.
Yeah. So that was basically my greatest takeaway from just these chapters on Abraham and his journey from Abram to Abraham, and where he leaves us with the story of Isaac, which Kelly will be picking up next.
I got Esau and Jacob. Man, that thing is wild. What was it? Some lentil? Man, what are them beans? What is it? A bowl of beans or something? It get messed up. Birthrights and everything going on, and yeah. And Rebecca. Oh, sweet Rebecca.
She turned into Becky.
Yeah, she turns around. So I don't know. You could call her a great mom, though. I don't know about a wife at that point in time. But
I think she's a great, better wife than mom.
Oh no, like
picking a favorite child, that is not a great mom.
I mean, it was because the other child, you know, we get into it.
Yeah.
But I felt like, how you gonna be the great wife? You tricking people? She was I got little notes on her. Hold on, let me see. My notes be wild. My notes look like text messages to God. The way I talk in my Bible, I when I read them, I just be laughing. I'm like, what in the world? Who was you talking to?
So where are you stopping next time?
Story of Isaac. Birthright. Conflict over covenant with the father. We can stop. Oh, I kind of do want to do the blessing. Hold on.
You know that's gonna be too much. You're not gonna be able to cover all that.
I don't want to talk about it. Okay, so we can stop at 54. So we'll do 25, 26. Yeah, 25 and 26. I'll do 25 and 26.
All right.
Because I mean, we couldn't stop at nah, we can't just do 25. That's not enough. I got a lot to say. Talk about birthright. It's gonna be fun.
All right, y'all.
All right, so that's it. Genesis 25 and 26 is what we're gonna go through next time. I think it's gonna be a good deal. On to 27, and we're gonna do 27. But that is it. I enjoyed my time. I'm glad that 2021 is here. Oh, you want to know what somebody just told me? I thought that was funny. I wish I could pull up the meme. But it was like, isn't it funny that 2021, like the one, if spelled WON, is kind of messed up?
You tell memes like my grandfather. Like,
I mean, I was cracking up because it says the text says,
yes, I know.
WON. And I was like, I never even thought about it like that. So I thought that was cool. But I'm glad it's 2021 just because it's another year. Because to me, it was like, I don't see much changing, at least not in January through the next January. Like, I mean, I just don't see a lot changing. So, but you know, God can do a lot, like anything. So I'm here to see what happens next. I'm interested. I mean, I like change. So we'll just see how 2021 goes. But I'm excited to see how Cookies and Christ goes as well. This has been fun. I mean, we haven't had a whole year, but we've had a couple of months, and it's been a nice couple of. Oh, when is our anniversary? We need to figure that out and do something nice.
So our official anniversary is March, because it showed up in my iPhone as memories the other day of like the first one where I came to your house. But of this forum,
We didn't see those videos. This video was funny.
This forum, I believe it's what, August?
I will look it up. We'll look it up. Because we can do something fun. We can do like a giveaway and something else. But all right.
We give it something on our 1 year.
That's what I do for my anniversary for the shop. I give stuff away.
You haven't
you think they're gonna give us something?
You haven't given me anything for our friend anniversary in years.
And what did I receive?
My friendship.
Oh, I gave that to you then.
Nah. That's my punishment.
God, do something.
Anyway. Bye, people.
We have to work on that. I gotta teach a whole class.
I don't want to be a lobster. That's lobster in sign language.
This?
Yeah.
What's this?
Or crab. It's either lobster or crab. One of them is this and one of them is this.
I definitely didn't go like that.
I'm just saying one is lobster, one is crab. I just can't remember which is which.
They both taste good. But all right, people. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye. I don't remember.